Hello, welcome. Welcome everyone. So we're coming in slowly but steadily. So you're welcome. Welcome Daniel, welcome Glory, welcome Joseph, welcome Sarah. So please if you can do the honors of introducing yourself and the country you're joining from, your country, that would be really nice. You can use the chat for that. So our presenter, as you can see, she's with us. So you should get to know where you're from and where you're joining from. Thank you. As usual, we'll just start 2 minutes past so that we'll give more time for the room to be fuller, for more colleagues of yours to join. Oh, I see 3 Nigerians. You're welcome, Glory, Sarah, and Femi. Please introduce yourself in the chat before we briefly start. Hi, Elijah. Hi, Caleb. Welcome. We'll kick off very soon. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being on time. You're welcome. This is the webinar, the last week of the Academy. Super. And I see that there are some of you who have been attending these webinars from the first week and you're still here. So congratulations on that. The last week of the Academy, and we are talking on how to create a pitch competition. So if you're here for that webinar, don't worry, you're in the right place. Thank you and welcome everyone. Please introduce yourself in the chat so our presenter gets to know where you're joining from. Feel free to introduce yourself. Thank you very much, everyone. I will be starting now as we are 2 minutes past. So my name is Success and I'm the Leadership Skill and Development Coordinator at WMI. I'll be moderating today's webinar. So today's webinar is how to create a pitch competition. So whether you registered for the pitch competition or you are looking to start your business or your NGO, please pay attention to today's webinar because it's going to give you a great start to what it looks like to get funding outside in the professional setting. We have our presenter here with us and she's really ready to interact with us and let us in on what it's required in creating a pitch presentation. So please pay attention and make this as engaging as possible by using the chat and the Q&A to ask your questions. We have our presenter with us, so I would be introducing her right now. So our presenter for today is Ms. Judith Kajo. She is a highly accomplished and versatile professional with a strong educational foundation and a wealth of certifications in various disciplines. She is a certified psychological counselor at Wellness System Solutions. She holds the designation of Certified Human Resource Business Partner with extensive experience in mediation, counseling, coaching, and the strategic implementation of HR initiatives. Ms. Kajo excels in developing and refining HR procedures, coordinating recruitment efforts, fostering positive work environments, managing grievance processes, and crafting effective training programs, all while ensuring compliance with organizational regulations. Academic pursuits currently include a PhD in business administration with a focus on human resources, complementing her MBA in human resource management and multiple certifications in mediation, HR management, and psychological counseling. As a dedicated HR practitioner, Judith is an active member of the Institute of Human Resource Management, IHRM, the Kenya Institute of Management, and an associate member of the Kenya Counseling of Psychological Association, KCPA. Thank you so much, Judith, for joining us today. We are really pleased to have you, and we can't wait for what you have for us today. Thank you very much, and I would hand it over to you right now.
Thank you very much, Success and Liz, and all the participants. Chika, Sarah, Elijah, Daniel, Glory, Ifunanya from Nigeria, Caleb from Nairobi, Kenya, and Genesis from Liberia. If I've not mentioned your name, I know I'll get your name as we continue. I'm so excited, very excited to be here today for this webinar. And I'm looking forward to interacting with all of us for a successful webinar in terms of having what a pitch presentation is all about. Just as Success has mentioned, my name is Judith Kajo, CHRP Judith Kajo from Nairobi, and I work for the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, which is an EMB. EMB means elections management body in my country. And I'm here to interact with us and just take us through what pitch presentation, because Success has just mentioned to me that there is a team that is coming up for a competition in December the 3rd, which whereby we have 16 participants taking part. I know this is going to come in handy for you as you prepare for that competition. Thank you very much. I want to request Liz to go to the next slide so that we can begin. I'm reminded of a story in the book of John Maxwell. John Maxwell is a writer. All of us know about him. There is a story in the book. It is called Thinking for a Change. In this story, in this book, there is a portion of that book that talks about some employee of an organization, multinational organization. And this employee has an empty office. That one without furniture, but just one chair and a large window. So this lady or this employee, she has that chair next to that window. She doesn't have tables. She doesn't have cabinets. She doesn't have the normal office outlook. She doesn't have that. But she has only a chair seated next to the window and gazing outside the window. What do you think she's doing? So she's there with just a notebook and a pen. And remember, this is a multinational company. So what she does, she sits there the whole day, 9 to 5, thinking. And the company pays her for thinking. So she's there doing the thinking. So she thinks for the company. Why? Because from her thoughts, from the ideas, the company gets a leverage. The company gets to move. So what is more important, an idea or execution? If you have that idea and the execution, which is more important? We're going to come back to that slide. Next slide, please. So we are preparing for, some of us are preparing for that competition. And in that competition, you know, you have to stand out. You have to give your best. So how do you create a pitch presentation? First of all, you have to get to know what a pitch is or what a pitch presentation is. Some people call it pitch deck. It is a business idea which is exhibited or something like you display to potential, mark the word potential investors, clients, stakeholders, to convince, mark the word convince, them to support a business idea or a product or service or a project. Remember, these are potential investors, and you are there to present and showcase and display standing out or shining so that they are convinced to onboard your idea. This is business idea. Remember, We have mentioned about the lady who is seated at the window. She's there to bring on board idea that is going to make the organization move to the next level. So what is the objective of you pitching that business idea to the clients or to the potential investors or stakeholders? The objective is to source for funding. No business doesn't need resources, so you need to have the funding. So when you have the funding, you are sourcing it from the potential investors who are going to be interested by how you deliver this pitch. And partnerships, of course. After funding, you get to know, you get to have the partnerships with these clients, with these stakeholders, with these investors, potential investors. How do we get the partnership? By you shining or outstanding, giving an outstanding pitch presentation or a pitch deck that is going to have them have this agency that I need to onboard. I need to onboard this kind of a business idea. So the essence of having this pitch presentation is just not to have the money or the resources. It is all about pitching this presentation so that you have another meeting and subsequent meetings so that you get the partnership, you get the connection, you get them onboarding your business idea. Next slide. Thank you. All right, how to pitch an idea. I want us to go back to the story of that lady by the window. After she has written down, remember every idea that you have to write it down. If you write it down, you don't forget. If you write it down, you get more ideas. So once she's there writing down, she doesn't have her phone. No distraction because she wants to focus on the idea that she's trying to formulate. And she has that as her job and she's paid for it. So how do you pitch this? How do you pitch this idea to the investors? How do you pitch this to the stakeholders? How do you pitch this to that client that you are concerned about? So she goes there and, remembering that I'm going to pitch this to an audience that is categorized in terms of the different dynamics from different background. I was just asking Success about what are your backgrounds in terms of your areas, your profession. And she told me some of you are from the medical field, some accountant, and all that. So you have to get to know or to get the understanding that my audience, what kind of an audience am I going to present my pitch to? What this audience mean? It means you have to do a research about the people you're going to meet, because even them, before they meet you, they're going to do a research about you. They're going to know who they're going to meet in this presentation or this pitch deck. Next slide. So as you pitch your idea, you need to get in the mind or in the viewpoint of the investor or the viewpoint of this stakeholder. When you get into their viewpoint, an investor's mind has answers, 3 answers probably. Let's take for example, the first answer, I am onboarding this business idea. Second answer would be, I don't think I'm not boarding this business idea. And then the third answer would be, I don't care. So get into the mind of that investor. What is it that the investor is going to give you? What answers are they likely, or is the investor likely to give you? I'm boarding, I'm not boarding, I don't care. So you need to, as you pitch, have that at the back of your mind. So you have to get the steps to pitching. After having the skeleton of getting to know who they are, then you have to define your message. Step 1 is to define your message. I have mentioned knowing the audience. What are their interests? Are they interested in farming? Are they interested in medical? Are they interested in education? What is their interest? What is their interest? Are they interested in judicial or something, or justice? What is the interest that they have? What are the dynamics? What are they what are they contained of in terms of who are they? You need to get to know that by doing a research before you meet them. And what kind of language are you going to use? You're going to use relatable language. I'm happy that some of us here are from the medical field, you know, they have jargons. When you go to the hospital, they write things you don't understand. When they do the prescription, you don't understand if you're a layman. So this is what we also need to put in place when we are pitching. We use relatable language. We don't use jargons that is going to confuse, our audience. So we use simple, clear language. And then you define your goal. Why are you pitching? Are you pitching for expansion? Are you pitching for resources? Are you pitching for what is it that is your objective for pitching, having this kind of a pitch? Then you explain your process. Anytime you have a pictorial, it sticks in your mind. So anytime you pitching, have a pictorial or some visuals. When you have a visual explaining the process, that this pitch, this business idea, this is the process that I need to follow so that I get to the bottom line. Bottom line is the profits. So remember, at the mind of a potential investor or partner or client, the bottom line is the in thing. Bottom line and growth. What is it? If I invest in this, what is the bottom? What are the profits that I'm going to get? Is there a position, a chance for growth? What is the progressive nature of this kind of business? So after you have explained the process or ideation with compelling visuals, and remember, as you do the visuals, you can do the data. I mean, metrics or figures. That is going to be convincing. We shall look at that in a brief. Next slide, Liz, please. We have the step 2. Remember, we have defined what we need to define by knowing the dynamics of our audience. Now, you have also to structure your content. Once you have known all the audience, you have used the language that is relatable, you are there to give them the content. The step 2, you have to structure your content. Give them a story about your idea. What is it that prompted you? What is it that pushed you to get into this business idea? You can remember, if maybe, let's take for example, when you have maybe a farm back at home in the village. I know some of us, or majority of us, have that experience of being in the village. And maybe there's a big chunk of land and it's not productive, or it's someone is not getting it to be productive in terms of there is nothing ongoing in that piece of land. And then you have an idea that I think I need to have maybe to try and do organic farming in my village. There are 5 acres there that I can lease and do organic farming. So if you're doing the organic farming, this is an idea that anyone can jump into if they are interested in that area or that line of production. So start that story. Why do you want to start a story of convincing them? Why do you want to venture into organic farming? Give a story. All right, because right now the GMO is all over. Give a story about someone who was just doing GMO foods and they got sick and everything that the doctor was saying, that go back to the naturals, go back to the naturals. You need to eat organic food. So give a story about that to capture their audience, to capture their attention. So if you give a story, people love to relate with stories. So if you give a story, then you're going to capture the audience, the attention of the audience. And then introduce yourself and your purpose for having that maybe organic farming. What is it that what role are you going to play in terms of what is your purpose for doing that? What are you trying to solve? Sell that problem to them. Just tell them the problem that is facing the society. Everybody else is suffering from various illnesses, various conditions. Why? because of maybe the foods we eat, because when you eat, whatever you eat is what you become. So any person who is conscious of their health, they tend to go organic, organic, organic. So just sell your problem to them. What is it? Clearly define what that problem is going to is that problem that is experienced in the society or in the community. What is it that people are going through that you have seen a gap whereby you want to fulfill or to fill a gap by introducing a solution? So sell your solution to them. What is that uniqueness in your organic farming that you want to do? What are the benefits, value propositions? What is it that is going to make it stand out or make it solve a problem uniquely? And you have to evidence that. You have to evidence that. You have all the facts. What is happening when people don't go organic? You have the facts. So you evidence it. When you evidence it with figures, remember we talked about visuals. Have a chart whereby you're explaining in the year 2023 or 2024, so many people died of this condition or developed this condition because of the foods and all that stuff. So give data, because numbers don't lie. Give data, put visuals. Thank you, Liz. Let's go to the next slide. That is structure your content. We continue with that structure your content. That is step 2, traction. Remember that as you go into the competition, some of you already are, these are startups, some of you already are doing something on their business idea. For instance, let's just go back to our example of organic farming. So traction, what are the leaps that you have made since you budded this idea? What are the leaps? If you started maybe 2 years ago, or a year ago, or 6 months ago, what have you done? What is the traction? Can I see that you have moved from step 1 to step 2 as an investor? Can the investor see that you have laid some groundwork, some background work you've done, maybe administrative wise, you have made some steps? What have you done? And then you prove that this is the execution that I had that idea 2 months ago, 6 months ago, and this is what I've tried to execute. I have made sure that I have talked to the local community. If someone can donate this piece of land to us, and maybe I have formed a small youth group, and we have meetings weekly. We have talked to the local authority. We have gone to the agricultural department in the county or in that village or in that town, so that we get to understand how we are going to start this project. So what is it that you have done? Or are you just coming with a clean idea? I mean, just an idea that same day you have done nothing about it. So you need to get the traction, the steps that you have made or the progress that you have made. Market opportunity. Let's go back to that example of organic farming. The market opportunity, you have to show the market size. So let's go back to the figure that so many number of people were diagnosed with conditions because of what they ate. And they were all told to go back to organics, eat organic vegetables, all that. So the market size, with you evidence that with the figures or the data that we have, then the potential growth, everyone is being pointed to organic foods. So what is the potential growth? For example, if we are already having that project ongoing, maybe running for a year, so maybe the vegetables that you have been getting from there, you sell maybe within the locality of your village, the locality of where the farm is. What is the potential growth? If I have the support that you need from the investors, what is it that is going to happen? The potential growth is that I'll move from my town, I will go beyond my town to the next city, to other cities in the country, And maybe probably for the people who are coming from East Africa, maybe to other countries in East Africa, and maybe to West Africa, and maybe to South Africa, and maybe to the whole of Africa, and then before I go to global. So this you have to convince. Remember, we are convincing the potential investors. Convince them on the market size, potential growth, and then what is the business model? How do you plan to make money? How do you plan to have the bottom line, the profits from this project? How are you making money? By selling, you are making money by selling the products from that farm. So you have to just explain how the money is going to be, how the process of farming, and we call value chain, what you do in terms of value chain, plowing, doing the seedlings, doing the manuring, or doing the process of making them grow, how you tender them, and in the long run, how you harvest, and who are the markets, your clients, what is the clientele that you have, who are they, at what frequency do they buy, and are you making profits? You have to explain that by giving a business model. And competition. There is no business that does not have a competition, even if it is a very new idea. There must be competition, because even if you don't have a competitor, like if you don't have any person that is buying your organic food from your farm, then someone else is buying another thing which is almost comparative to what you're doing, but the money is not coming to your pocket. That already is a competition. So competition is everywhere, even if there is no one doing the same business, but the money that the other person is using to spend on something that looks like what you are producing, that already is a competition. So highlight how you are going to have a competitive edge. Again, compared to the other people or the other businesses. What is it that you're going to provide that is going to make you stand out? Stand out is the word. Amongst your peers, amongst your business competitors. What is it that you're going to do? Yes. So for instance, let's go back to our example of organic farming. What is it that you're going to do? If you're delivering you're going to deliver the foodstuffs or this produce, you may say that within this radius, I'm going to deliver free of charge. Within this radius, I'm going to deliver free of charge. Or if you buy this quantity, this much, you're going to get a discount of maybe 5 or 10%. And what is the after sale? All right. So if someone came and was feeling very unwell, and the doctor told them that you need to eat this, you may even have a follow-up. How are you feeling since you started eating the organic? This brings about you having a competitive edge over the other ventures. Please, next slide. Thank you. Okay, what is your dream team? You also need to introduce your dream team and their expertise. This one is in charge of our financials. This one is in charge of our marketing and sales and marketing. This one is in charge of our HR. Just introduce your dream team so that if you get that next meeting that we were talking about, then that other person will not be worried about who to contact. They know I have to contact so-and-so for marketing queries. I have to contact so-and-so for financial queries. I have to, look for so-and-so for in terms of HR queries. So just your dream team, just introduce your dream team to them so that they get to know their expertise. That one is going to give them confidence that you have a team that is competent enough. And then the financials. We have talked about, you producing foodstuffs or produce that will be supplied within the city, will be supplied within the maybe 2 cities within the county, or 3 or 4 other cities before you go to another country. So what are the projections or metrics? You can talk about 3 to 5 years, this farm we would have maybe looked for another farm to lease so that we have 10 acres. And 3 to 4 years, we shall be producing this much of tons and supplying in these cities or supplying in these countries. What is the projection? And you have to give realistic projections, because you cannot talk about moving from $5,000 or $1,000 production or sales to imagining that in the next 3 years you're going to do $100,000. That is very, very unrealistic. So you have to be realistic in terms of giving projections and also the metrics. Then call for action. Call for action. You have to be very categorical when you're talking to the investors or pitching your presentation. You have to ask them and state what you really want. If you need that expansion of the 5 other acres so that you get 10 acres to have the organic farming, you need to tell them, and you ask for the amount that is required. If it costs $100,000 to lease or to buy the 5 more acres, talk about $100,000 and talk about, for you to get that farm running in terms of you need to get the seedlings, you need to do the plowing of the farm, you need to get the compost manure if that is what you're using, all that you need. If that is going to cost you another $20,000, talk to you need to inform the potential investors that I need $120,000 for this and this, and then you give a breakdown. Remember, we are talking about a mind of whatever mind that they have of I'm boarding, I'm not boarding, and I don't care. So if someone feels that they are not boarding, ask them, why are you not boarding? Because in the first few minutes of your pitch, they already have made up their mind whether they are boarding or not boarding, or they don't care. Next slide, please. So you need to call for action to state clearly what you need. Then designing your slides. As you present, you have to design your slides. And I don't mean taking them to a designer, no. You just need to have simple slides with normal fonts. Be consistent. Don't put different colors, different fonts. Just be consistent. Use visuals the way we have talked about, you having the charts, infographics, images, and even videos to illustrate your point, because you need to illustrate and convince them that this really is a matter of urgency. I need to onboard this organic farming that this person is pitching. So then let there be consistency in your theme. Don't change colors, and then make sure you don't put a lot of text. Just put more visuals to give your story a complementary aspect of it. Please, next. Yes, and then you also need to practice your delivery. You just can't go there without you rehearsing. You have to rehearse, practice your presentations, and so that you become confident of pitching this organic farming. You have to be realistic by, having them at the tips of your hands, like of your fingers. You know that this is what you internalize. This is what I really mean, and this is the problem I am selling to them, and this is the solution I am selling to my potential investors. So you have to rehearse and get to understand what you're really pitching, and then engage your audience. Don't just talk, and talk. Just engage them, because it is a learning curve for both of you. You're learning from them, they're learning from you. Engage them. Have gestures, have questions. You can ask them questions, they can ask you questions. As you answer that, you get to engage and you also get to learn. And then timing. If you have only 5 minutes to pitch, because these people meet so many people who are pitching, who are coming in for pitch decks. So if you have 10 minutes, the 10 minutes, give it the best so that they make their decision. Don't take a whole hour, don't take a whole 30, 40 minutes without getting them to understand where you're coming from. So when you have the timing, let it in the allocated time. If you are given maybe 10 minutes, you do the 10 minutes and just nail it. And then seek feedback from your peers, maybe like the competition that some of us are going to attend on the 3rd of December. After your pitch deck, just try and get feedback from your peers. How did it go? Did it go well? Where didn't I, where do I need to up my game next time and all that? Feedback is very, very important. Whether you get negative feedback or whether you get positive feedback, it is good because it is going to help you to grow. All right. We are moving away from the traditional way of doing things. How to approach is getting newer, or the present day or the modern way of doing it. We are moving from the traditional way of doing things. When you read a book, maybe at your free time, you'll get a book, Who Moved My Cheese? Or Our Iceberg is Melting. Who Moved My Cheese is by Dr. Johnson. Dr. Spencer Johnson, yes. Dr. Spencer Johnson, if you read that book, you'll get to understand a few things. And then also Our Iceberg is Melting by John Cotter. If you read that book, you'll get a different perspective of moving from the traditional way of doing things to the contemporary, which is modern. So we are moving away from instruction, and we are trying to impress on ourselves the philosophy of continuous learning. I mentioned that when they ask you questions and you ask them questions, you get that leverage of learning. Learning is continuous. When we talk of Kaizen, continuous improvement. So as you learn, as you get the continuous learning from interacting with them, they interacting with you, you get a different mindset, and it opens your mind so that you get to improve on what you're presenting to them. Adaptation. When you talk of adaptation, when you read those two books, you see how some people are just rigid. They just don't want to change. When you don't want to change, change will change you and it will sweep you away. Yeah, when you remember this, the company Kodak and others, I have Kodak, we have Compaq, they never used to adapt into what is coming new, because remember, we are moving from the traditional way of doing it and we are coming to contemporary or modern or present day aspects of doing things. So you have to adapt. If you don't adapt, then you'll be left hanging there without progress. And then you can experiment to achieve a milestone. Next slide. So when we talk of contemporary, we are talking about innovation. We are talking about how to achieve the desired outcomes of what you're doing. So if we are moving from traditional to contemporary, we need to be innovative. What is it that we are going to improve? For instance, when we go back to our example of that farm, what is it that we can do to improve on what we are producing? What is it that can we bring machines that can help us do a few things here and there? What is it that we can do so that we get more production? Because we need to learn or understand the modern landscape, that technology is moving very, very fast. You remember Kodak didn't move because they never embraced technology. They never embraced creativity and innovation. They were kicked out of business. If you don't get to the speed of what is expected of you, you'll be kicked out of business. So we need to be adaptable. We need to be creative so that we get into the marketplace with the rest when we are at par or we outshine them. And then next slide, please. Next slide, please. All right, we have some principles that we need to take care of as we do how to approach. What are the principles that we have to take care of? Remember, when we talk of agility, it is usually said as agile as a monkey. A monkey can move from one tree to another. Before you know it, it's 5 kilometers away. Why? They respond to maybe danger, or when you have new opportunities, jump onto it. If you have a good idea, jump onto it. If you have an opportunity, jump onto it. If you have a challenge, like who moved my cheese, or our iceberg is melting. The challenges, I mean, the characters in those books, some of them were too rigid. When they had the challenge, they did not want to face the challenge. They were there rigid, and whenever you are rigid, it's not going to work for you. So you need to move swiftly to grab the new opportunities. Collaboration. As you present your pitch, or as you have these potential investors and stakeholders, you need to have collaboration. Foster culture of collaboration and idea sharing. I told you it's a learning curve. You learn from them, they learn from you. It's continuous. We are getting the philosophy of continuous learning. And then data-driven. The figures don't lie. So when you use the data that you have, 2023, 2024, these were the number of cases that we got from the medical department or from some research, that so many people are suffering from this kind of conditions because of this kind of food that they are eating. So have data-driven decisions. You don't just make decisions based on you don't make decisions based on theory. We make decisions based on data. Next. Next slide, please. Thank you. Or iterative development. Once these are drills, you have to do them every day. You have to do them. When you read the book, Atomic Habits, a habit is something that you do every single day. What is it that you want to do every single day so that you get the principle of how to approach, so that you hone it, so that you make it polished, or you make it refined. So it helps you to learn. It helps you to embrace the drills that you do every single day to make it better and better it every single day. So we talk of also the principle of customer centricity. Customer is king. You have to prioritize their needs. You have to prioritize their preferences. What is it that you are taking care of in terms of your client or your customer? You have to take note of their preference. That is why we have reviews. So when you have a review, you have maybe that organization of yours, you're getting into NGO, you're getting into these normal startups that we have, that you are pitching, and then there's a portion of reviews. What is it that they are saying? Are you really following up on the reviews that the clients are giving, or the concerns of clients? Are you really taking care of that? So through that, we are going to transform any industry, be it NGO, be it other business startups. We're going to transform those industries. Next slide, Liz. Okay, additional tips. I've mentioned about storytelling. Just tell a compelling story about that to engage your audience. Be passionate. Be passionate about what you're doing. Be passionate because it's contagious. Whenever you are giving out the pitch and you're talking about organic farming, or you're talking about you having an idea of helping girls to prevent teenage pregnancy, or helping girls against FGM or early marriages, just be passionate about it. What is it that you want to do? Be passionate, because when you're passionate about it, you can relate with it, and you can give it out as you deliver your content and your pitch with a lot of, with a lot of passion, and that is going to catch the potential investors. Then address the questions. If there are any questions from them about your pitch, address them, and just prepare clear answers and potential questions. As you prepare your pitch, just think of potential questions in terms of this slide, they might ask this slide, they might ask this, just be ready with questions. And then be authentic, just be real, be yourself, let your idea be so original, just be real. Don't be the opposite, because if you are the opposite, getting to really convince those clients is not going to be so easy. Next, please. All right, tools. So when we talk of pitching, the pitch presentations, that the slides we are talking about, you can use PowerPoint, which is standard, Keynote, Apple's presentation software, Google Slides, that is cloud-based presentation tool. And then you can also have Canva, where you do it yourself, design tool for creating visually appealing content. Next slide. So we can look at case study of how we can transform the industry with modern how to approach to scale the heights. We have about 4 examples. Next slide, please. 4 examples that I need also to, actually there are 5. So when you look at, maybe at your own time, you'll Google about the community justice centers. If you're interested in justice, then you can have a lot of information when you look at the community justice centers. They are all over the world. If you can look up to that, maybe for Africa, East Africa, you're going to get some information about that. So another justice, you can also Google the dispute resolution hub. When you talk of these 2 justice centers or places, we talk about people who are going through a challenge to access justice. These centers will come handy for them, so that they can join those people and be helped at the earliest time possible, so that their justice is not delayed. Because when you go to the courts, it will take forever. So when they access these communities or community centers, they are always helped. And maybe through mediation, they are helped through that. Like the DR Hub, when someone is having an issue or a conflict or a dispute, they go there and they are always attended. Sorry, yes, just that slide. So that one can be done. Then health, you can also look at Iguru Therapies, what they're doing. Iguru Therapies is doing a good job in Uganda. And then Green Tech, Copper Solar, in your organic farming, maybe where it is the deep down, deep in the village. But when we have the solar, the green tech, then you're going even to do irrigation to that, to your plants. And that is going to give us a contemporary touch on it. Then education, this is highlighted with WMI, Keframa Secondary School. You can look at that at your free time, so that you see how they are impacting on people's lives. Next slide. Okay. So the common mistakes, I have talked about relatable story. Just give a relatable story that is relevant. And then when you don't engage your target, you're not going to get into what they really want, and you may not learn from them. And then don't focus too much on yourself or the slides. Just internalize and get to know your content, so that you don't really read from the slides or the notes. And then don't give them handouts. The moment you give them handouts, they'll forget about you and they'll be reading the handout. If you have to give any handouts, give them at the end of the pitch presentation, so that they can read at their own time, because it's a summary. The challenge. So pitch presentation is hence preoccupied with verifying whether or not it meets the principles that we have mentioned, unpack these principles, and design assessment tools to determine the level of performance. Next slide, please. All right. This is just a summary of what we have mentioned of the slides of the pitch deck. For those who are going for the competition, you can have this to just help you draft your slides. So the introduction, your team, the dream team that we have talked about, the problem, the advantages, that is a competitive advantage, or the reason why your idea is going to solve a problem, the solution, the product itself, the traction, the steps that you have made, the market size, and the growth, the competition. We have mentioned that, the business model, what is it how are you going to make money? Then investing, what is your planned planned projections that we mentioned about 3 years, what is it that you want to be invested in your project or in your product or service, and then the contact. You'll also leave your contact, as I've left my contact at the end of this presentation. Next slide. Yes, Q&A. Any question? Chika, do you have a question?
Thank you so much, Judith. So I'm just seeing a question in the Q&A. We have a question from Glory Uka. So she says, thank you, Ma, for the presentation. Are we expected to capture all these components in the 3 minutes, or will there be opportunities like question session to explain better? So I'm just going to quickly talk on this because I really get where she's coming from.
Yeah.
And this 3 minute speech is a video recording where they are meant to submit to the judges. So Glory, there was a rubric that was provided, and majority of what Judith have mentioned is on that rubric. So you just want to do a very quick pitch showing and highlighting all these points. You really don't have to go in details, but you need to give the concrete points. So I'll hand it over to you, Judith, to still speak on this.
Yes, thank you very much. What is her name again? Sorry.
Glory.
Glory. Oh, Glory, thank you very much for that question. It's a very good question because you have only 3 minutes. You cannot do all that I've talked about for the last, 45 minutes. You cannot do that. If you have 3 minutes, you get to the point. All right. You can even have a sentence. We are XYZ solving ZY, problem uniquely for ETC. Just one line, and then you back it with a pictorial or a pictorial just to show the process. You can do that in 3 minutes. Just have one line. We are XYZ solving ZYD, for XTX group. Yeah. So for example, we can go back to our example that we are, which name should we use? Okay, let's use Glory. We are Glory Organics solving medical related issues to clients with conditions. Someone will be like, clients with conditions, medical issues, they'll be interested in knowing that, and then organic. Yeah. So with that, you put that process in a pictorial form from the farm, when they get to access the foods, then they're healthy. You have solved a problem in the society. Yes. I hope, Glory, it makes some little sense.
Yeah, it does.
All right.
Glory would respond in the chat to also let
Okay.
you know that answers the question.
Yes.
So Femi is saying that execution is more important. I think there was a slide talking about idea or execution. Saying execution is more important. Yes, Glory says, yes, Ma, thank you so much. So Femi is asking a question. He says, thank you, Ma, for the presentation. My question is on visual, and on the 3 minute pitch, can we include pictures as a form of visual?
Yes, pictures. When we talk of visuals, we are talking of pictures, we are talking of charts, we are talking of infographics. We can include pictures because let's take, for example, we go back to our example of organic farming. They can have a pictorial, one side of people who are dying in the hospital because of conditions which they could avoid by eating organic food. And then in the next, just in the same picture, you put now someone who is eating the organic foods and then the outcome. Yeah, you can include picture. Actually, you can explain the whole of that whole process using a picture, just one picture. Yeah.
Oh, that's very interesting to know that that's possible. We've had this speech competition, I think for this will be the third year actually, and we've not had such innovation. So seeing this year would be very interesting. So please,
Nice.
everyone, you can go ahead to do as Judith have said. One more question from Genesis. He's asking, he says, Madam, what could be an example of traction for a startup pitch?
All right. All right. For a startup pitch, for instance, that you have just this idea, and maybe after having the idea, the traction would be, we go back to our same question. I mean, the same example of the organic farming. You have just this idea. You have not gotten that farm. The traction is you are doing. I have done a research that this kind of conditions are as a result of this kind of foods. And this kind of foods are synthetic or GMOs. That is one traction. Another thing, even before you get the farm, you have maybe gone ahead to talk to the locals, or you have gone ahead to the hospitals to get this kind of information. What kind of organic foods are we really pointed to? Is it the vegetables? What is it? What kind of foods? Is it the herbs, that we are going to get that is going to help us get well from these kind of conditions? And maybe in that environment or in that society, everyone is suffering from obesity or some kind of a condition that is common. So those attractions, you have to say, I have done a research on this. These are the findings. And I have spoken with maybe local community, or I have gone to the churches or the religious places, and maybe someone, and asking them, I've even sent out a proposal to them if someone is going to donate a piece of land for us to have this project. I have formed a group of youths, that we are brainstorming how to go about this process. Those are traction. Genesis, those are examples of traction. Whatever you have been doing towards the success or towards the initiation of that project or that launching that product, what have you done? What research have you done? What is it that you have put in place? Yeah. And even just having a projection of this is the much, if we begin this project, is going to cost us. That is your preparation. That is traction. The momentum that you have already taken even before the actual project itself.
Very educative, ma'am. Thank you so much for this presentation. We really look forward to asking you a whole lot of questions on Thursday because it's the Q&A session. And I want to encourage everyone who is present today to be here on Thursday. Is the last webinar. You can also motivate your fellow colleagues to attend as well, because we'll be answering all the questions related to pitching, whether it's for this competition that's coming up or even in the professional setting. We all need to pitch at one point or the other. Whether you're applying for a grant, you would need to know what to highlight. And Ma'am Judith is here to, give us all the juice on what we need to know when giving our pitch. So thank you very much for attending. We are seeing the very nice comments from you all appreciating her. And yeah, we have one comment from Elijah Icha asking if you can help by dropping the names and authors of the books mentioned that he wants to get it. Okay. So I
Maybe
will just.
there is a last slide. There is a last slide that Liz has not put up there. I think two more slides. The next one, yes. All right. This is a very interesting one. So in a crowded marketplace, fitting in is a failure. In a busy marketplace, not standing out is the same as being invisible. So if you don't present your pitch well, you're going to be invisible. That is by Seth Godin. Seth Godin is there is a book by Seth Godin called Purple Cow. So Purple Cow is very unique. So if you want to be unique, don't be a brown cow, be a purple cow. Otherwise, I'm going to send this one in the chat box. I mean, the books that I've mentioned in the chat box so that you can download them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Judith. That was just what I was about asking you if you have any last words, but you gave us an amazing one. It was such a pleasure having you today, and we look forward to meeting with you again on Thursday. In the meantime, I will just let you drop that message, and then we can call this a day. But then you can keep using the chat, everyone who's still around, just to appreciate Madam until we see her message, and then we call it a day. Okay, just in form of a reminder, the pitch registration have ended, but we are still receiving videos. So please, if you've not started getting your pitch video, I know most of us are waiting towards finishing this week, and then we are sure of what we need to put together in our videos. So I guess that's why the numbers are not coming in as much. But then not to worry, we have the whole of next week just for you to build your page and soak in all that you've learned from the first week to the 8th week. So we look forward to receiving your videos next week. If you've not submitted, please submit by next week. Late submissions will not be accepted, and you don't want all your efforts to go in vain. So thank you very much. Okay, Sarah, the slides will be shared on the group, and then you'd see Judith's contact and email. So her contact is on that slide. So that will be shared on the group, and you can get it from there. Thank you everyone for your messages. Okay, yeah, we have the message from Ma'am Judith. So those are the books and their authors. So you can just copy it, and I'd also copy it and share on the group. Thank you, everyone. It's such a pleasure having you all. Yeah, deadline for submission is on Monday. Monday, same time, webinar time. That's the deadline for the submission next week, Monday. So please submit before or on that time. Okay, thank you all. See you on Thursday. Bye-bye.
Bye, thank you.